I quit singing after I found out my best friend had taken their own life, but my brother refuses to acknowledge that and keeps pressuring me to sing at his wedding, and my mom is on his side. Posted by you/any_reality580. My 28M brother, 33M, will be getting married in the fall. The two of us are fairly close, more so in the past few years, which is to say that he is not ignorant about past events in my life. Recently, I got invited to dinner by him and his fiancée. The two were very obviously buttering me up to ask me something the whole time before my brother finally told me. So, fiancé, and I have been talking, and we'd really love it if you sang our first dance song, just the one song. I know you don't really sing anymore, but I dug up some old videos of you singing, and she loves your voice just as much as I do. This could be your wedding present to us. For background, I used to sing all the time. I formed a band with a bunch of my friends in high school, and we were very minorly successful. We had a YouTube channel with a few hundred subscribers, and there were a handful of people who had their own recordings that were posted to their own pages. In this band was my best friend since second grade, Mason, not his real name. Unfortunately, when we were 17, Mason took his own life. Additionally, I was the one who found him. The band dissolved almost immediately, and our YouTube channel and all our own videos were taken down. Since then, I have never sung. Singing without Mason felt wrong, so I didn't. Not in the shower, no karaoke sessions, not at church, never. My brother knew all of this, but I wasn't sure if his fiancée did, so I started off with, "Sorry, I'll have to refuse. You know I don't sing anymore," in the interest of not totally ruining dinner. My brother was annoyed as hell at this. "Come on, it's for my wedding, it's just one song, I'm not asking for much here," and so forth. I continued to politely refuse and left soon after. Shortly after, I started receiving countless calls from my mom, who also knows the reason why and decided to harass me about not singing. "It's your brother's wedding. I think you really should see a therapist about this. We all love your singing voice, and it's been 10 years since any of us got to hear it." The two have since decided on a new tactic by saying that my song will be a good way to honor Mason's memory. The point about therapy aside, I've been to lots of it. I'm at peace with my decision to stop singing. Am I the jerk for refusing? It's clearly important to them. Edit, to clarify, I have really only ever performed with Mason. The joy I got from performing was not the act of singing itself, but from performing with my best friend. Top/relevant comments. Additional info from op. Okay y'all, this is overwhelming. Let me throw a few things in one. I don't know if my future sister-in-law is aware of the full situation or not. I'd like to think she doesn't, but I'd rather not poke that hornet's nest until I have to. Yes, I've been to therapy. Singing is something I did with Mason, well before we started a full band. It very much feels like a part of my life that belongs in the past. As I said in the edit, my joy is not from singing, it's from performing with him. Is that what Mason would have wanted? I don't know. He's not around to ask anymore. The extended family is not blowing up my phone. It's two people, and it's not blowing it up. My mom called repeatedly in one day, and has tried to throw it in a few times since. My brother is mostly giving me the cold shoulder. It's only been a few weeks since this conversation took place. To whomever said it's been 10 years, you're not good enough to sing at a wedding, thank you. I genuinely laughed at this. It's a good point too. I'd probably sound like a donkey kicked me in the throat. No, I don't post a lot. This is a throwaway I barely use. Update 18 days later. Okay, I don't know if I have to do anything special to update people who commented update him on the last post, but here we are. This is premature, but since the post I made was more popular than I expected, or wanted, I thought I'd give a small update. Future sister-in-law reached out to me because her washer broke, and she wanted to come over and do a quick load of laundry. I wasn't thrilled about this, but I live close enough, I have an unit, and the laundromats in our area are not the safest. I was content to just watch TV silently in my tiny apartment while we waited, but she, of course, had something to discuss. I thought for sure she'd be the third person to try to convince me, but no. Instead, she told me that she wasn't sure if my brother was giving her the full story. She told me that he used to sing all the time, he was in a band, but he quit when the band broke up. Which is technically true, but come on. I also learned that he had told many of his friends this too, about how he's always trying to convince me to come around and sing for all of them. He had literally never asked before the conversation, but was prone to making comments like, "Boy, it sure sucks you don't sing anymore, I know a lot of people that would want to hear that." So, I very briefly told her about Mason. Just the important bits. That I used to sing with him, then he died, so I don't have any desire to do so anymore. She didn't say anything for a while, but I saw her face go through about a dozen different emotions, and I'm pretty sure she settled on anger. Before she left, she just told me that she's going to tell my brother to get someone else to sing. I got the distinct feeling that it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. So, that's it so far. All quiet. Fingers crossed. Top/relevant comments. Downvoted commenter. Sister-in-law is awesome. As an internet stranger, I strongly recommend therapy. And, do you think Mason would want you to quit singing entirely? I highly doubt that. Op's response. I guess I could try breaking out the Ouija board to ask him, but I've never had much luck. Additional info from Op. Hi y'all, again, the response to this has been much larger than anticipated. I just need to get something off my chest, and hopefully I don't come across as overly aggressive. Regarding the obnoxious comment saying, is that what Mason would want? I don't know. He's not around to ask anymore. The dead tend to not have opinions. I've had over a decade to process this, via therapy, putting it in all caps this time. But I truly hope the people who comment this don't ever try this approach on someone who just experienced a loss. Regardless of intentions, it is grossly manipulative. And again, for the people in the back, I didn't stop singing because I thought that's what Mason would want, or survivor's guilt, or because I was actually secretly in love with him. Yes, real DM I received. I stopped because I loved singing with my musical partner, who is now gone. I no longer find the act enjoyable. Second update 1 month later. I was told people prefer linking the original post in updates. Hope that works. I cannot believe that this is still a thing, much less one that people are interested in. Lucky me, though, because the overwhelming support I received here convinced me to do some things I definitely wouldn't have done otherwise. New things happened pretty quickly, but I held off on a new post because my last one was premature. Some things people predicted happened, other things did not. Let's get this out of the way up front, the wedding is still on. The wedding will always still be on. This was never in doubt. I think a lot of commenters vastly overestimated my importance. After talking with my future sister-in-law, I did not hear anything from my brother, at least initially. I did eventually get a short text from her just saying that I shouldn't worry about the wedding anymore and they'll find someone else. My mom was another story. She called me repeatedly since I ignored her first few calls, and when I finally picked up, she was about 2 steps below screaming into the phone, about how I interfered in your brother's relationship and made things so much harder for them. And do you know how upset he is right now? It's time to put grudges aside and make amends. It was not an especially long conversation. I feel it is important to provide some context for my mom. I've seen some comments about how she has clear favoritism for my brother. Strictly speaking, I'm not sure that's true. Over the years, she said or did some things to my brother that have, at several points, caused him to go no contact with her. Some of these I fully understood. Others created some questions. As a result, my mom tends to overcompensate when it comes to him because I think she's terrified of getting cut off again. I did a lot of self-reflection over the next few days about my relationships with my family members, and decided it was time to have a very honest conversation with my brother. I even booked a bonus therapy session specifically about preparing myself for this conversation. I called him up and asked him point blank if, knowing I will absolutely not be singing for him, he still wanted me to attend. He didn't answer for a bit, but eventually he said yes. I remembered a bunch of comments that said he may still try to pull something at his reception anyway, using public pressure, and announce me as the singer. While I personally didn't find that to be especially likely, my brother is a big planner and scheduler. I realized I no longer trusted him like I used to and said as much, and that I will only be attending the ceremony, not the reception. He had a minor freak out over this, "Are you effing kidding me?" But then said it was whatever, and that I needed to come up with a concrete excuse for my absence so that BS doesn't overshadow everything. Fine, whatever. He also said that I could no longer be his groomsman since that would leave an empty chair at the head table. We hung up shortly after. We have not spoken again since. Something that hasn't come up before, we both have 2 other brothers, 35, 26. Neither lives in the same area as us. My younger brother lives on the other side of the country, and we don't talk especially frequently, so I don't know what, if anything, they had heard about the situation previously. Well, because he kicked one of his brothers out of the wedding party, he decided to replace the other 2 as well because it wouldn't look right to have just 2 out of 3 of his brothers as groomsmen, so instead opted for 0 out of 3. Eldest brother got kind of bratty about it. He included all 3 of his brothers in his wedding party when he got married and is mainly pissed about the non-reciprocation, but never asked for nor received the full story on our feud. I don't especially enjoy talking to him, so if he wants to blame me for getting booted from the wedding party, that's fine. My younger brother, on the other hand, made it his personal mission to extract every single detail possible from all parties. He called me up to get my side, and then decided he was going to join me in skipping the reception. He has decided to start brainstorming an excuse for the both of us. Honestly, I think he was looking for an excuse not to go anyway. He despises family functions. At this point, I am praying for no more updates. This is just effing absurd. The wedding cannot come soon enough. This is not related to the update, but instead to the comments and DMs I received. I have tried my best to be civil with the many comments of "Is that what Mason would want? Or have you tried therapy?" We are now 3 posts deep on this nonsense. I'm not going to be trying so hard at civility anymore. Also a reminder, singing was a hobby. I gave up a hobby. I was not on the cusp of making it big. I did not throw away my dreams. This was 5 dudes screwing around in a basement on weekends and occasionally playing at a bar, fair, or coffee shop. For what it's worth, I still listen to music and even will pick up my bass again on occasion when I'm bored. Therapy is not an undo button on grief and trauma. I am not the same person I was before he died. I never will be again. Therapy is about accepting this and the new person I've become, not going back to the way things were. New op. Model does not include singing. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Op, your mom and brother suck so much that black holes appear when they're in the same room. This whole thing went way beyond singing. It's not that hard to respect someone's wishes. As a side note, since they want to burn everything down, I wouldn't come up with a valid excuse. Just tell the truth. Your mom and brother are insufferable jerks who want you to lie about why you're not there because they can't accept that you don't want to sing. They're going to rip you to shreds anyway, so let them wash their BS down with the truth. Tell that one blabbermouth in the family that you have to come up with a good excuse to not go to the ceremony. Tell everyone how your mom behaved with you, which has crap to do with the wedding. Honestly, they only want you there so people don't talk, not as a valued family member. I wouldn't go at all, and let them know way ahead of time. They chose this. Third update 6.5 months later. Hey y'all. You for sure don't remember me, but I thought I'd come back for a final update. It's me, the guy who quit singing because my former best friend and bandmate killed himself. Quick refresher right at the top. Yes, I have attended therapy. Yes, I have processed Mason's death. No, therapy does not fix grief. It makes it more manageable. I quit singing because I stopped finding it enjoyable. No, I'm not in denial. No, I wasn't in love with Mason. Anyway. Spoiler warning, it's mostly boring. And yes, the wedding still happened. The last couple of months have featured something of a relentless guilt trip from my mom. She was getting increasingly unpleasant, so I eventually just stopped responding to her entirely. I didn't block her because she's still my mom, and I love her, and I would like to know if there was a genuine emergency. Other than that, she's getting radio silence from both me and my younger brother, more on him later. She had originally started with the argument about how I could honor Mason, then about how I hadn't finished processing my grief, before doubling down on how disappointed she was that I refused to move on. Then she told me how pathetic it was to live eternally in my victimhood. Guess she got herself a Tumblr account or something. The eldest brother tried his best to stay out of everything, but my mom did try to get him on her side. Like I said before, he and I don't have a good relationship, so she probably thought it was a slam dunk. Not so much. My brother, to his credit, told her this whole thing is stupid. I do not disagree. My youngest brother made good on his promise and skipped the reception with me. He used the excuse that he had to leave immediately to catch a flight back for his job. He's a first responder, so nobody questioned it. Little brother also really wanted my excuse to be that I had started a new band and had to miss the reception to go sing at my first gig, because he is chaos incarnate and is to be feared. Instead, I said that I had a routine surgery early the next morning and therefore had to skip all food, drinks, and physical activity. I have a reputation for poor health, so, again, nobody really questioned it. As for the brother getting married, he kept quiet for the most part. We didn't talk much. I don't know for sure if our mom was communicating for the both of them so that he could avoid being seen as the bad guy, or because his now wife kept him in line. Either way, I don't see a way back to restoring our relationship to what it once was. I'm not cutting off contact with him by any means, but we're now on much lesser terms. One hiccup, somehow, I wonder, my brother got an inkling that this whole thing was actually an elaborate ruse, and that I was singing at his reception as a surprise. Our whole fight? It was to throw him off the scent that I was actually taking singing lessons the whole time. Presumably, Mason's ghost would descend from wherever and join me in the harmonies or something. Then the living and the dead would come together for the cha-cha slide. Apparently, my brother subscribes to fan fiction. All info about the reception was supplied by my dad a few days afterward. He was apparently super mopey throughout the beginning of the reception but ended up enjoying himself by the end. Probably has to do with the fact that he's now married to a terrific woman who has been willingly putting up with him for 3 years. She looked stunning, by the way. Overall, there were a few murmurs about mine and my brother's absence at the reception, but from what I heard, they dispelled quickly, and everyone rightfully focused on the newly married couple. So, that's it. I still attend regular therapy because it's become a part of my routine. Mason rarely ever came up before all this, and I'm presuming that status quo will soon be returned. It's not that I don't miss him, but I have lots of other stuff going on in my life, you know? I'm contemplating moving across the country to be closer to my younger brother. As chaotic and unpredictable as he can be, he was definitely my rock through all of this, and I'd like to improve my relationship with him, one small dose at a time. My job and therapist are both remote, so that simplifies things. It wouldn't be until next year when my lease is up, but it is under serious consideration. I'm probably abandoning this account soon after this update. This story made its way to the TikToks, the Facebook spam posts, and the AI YouTube channels, so it's toast anyway. My username was left in, and it made me super easy to find. 4 different people messaged me to join Mason, which is the first time a stranger on the internet has ever told me to kill myself. Feels like a rite of passage. Anyway, thank you to the roughly 75% of you for your kind words and resisting the urge to ask, is that what Mason would have wanted? Or have you considered therapy? Sorry for wasting your time with this when I'm sure you were hoping for explosive fireworks and instead got a lone firecracker tossed into a birdbath. Deuces. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. So your mom was the puppet master in this whole thing. I know she's your mom, but I would keep your promise of radio silence unless there was a legitimate emergency. Also, your younger brother rocks, and EMT is the perfect job for a chaos king. Commenter 2. She probably got an idea in her head about how nice it would be to have Op sing, and everything else was a ploy or tactic to get that dream made. If she cared at all about honoring Mason, I'd be shocked, but if she did, then it was probably entirely because of the Hallmark sentimentality angle, and not actual concern for the memory of him or her son's grief. Basically, image-conscious self-absorption strikes again.